Allied UAV overhead. I'm hit! Team deathmatch. Here they come. Attack! Flyover.
Come in, actual.
This is Falcon 3-0. Good copy. UAV beginning flyover.
That's a kill.
UAV is out of fuel. Returning to flight. Cruise missile ready to launch.
Grip mark, hit him now.
Falcon 3-0. Cruise missile ready. No effect on target. Allied UAV overhead.
Enemy fire!
This is our fight. Stay focused.
Gotta reload.
It's finished. We have done it.
Haha. Six and 0, not a bad first game, if I do say so myself. If I, ha ha ha, na 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 na. Yeah. It looks super badass. Dude, turn your mic off.
Team deathmatch. We've got enemy inbound. Lock and load. We're in control. Grenade out!
snipers like that, dude. Knowing that they got a one-shot kill, so they automatically just do it. Couldn't kill that motherfucker a second earlier, dude. Come on.
Friendly UAV overhead. Allied cruise missile away.
How did I not get that kill? No! What, dude?
UAV overhead.
I'm gonna fucking rage.
You've lost the lead.
I really can't.
Allied cruise missile away. Control. Friendly UAV overhead. We're halfway there. Keep fighting. Friendly UAV overhead. Be advised, friendly precision airstrike inbound. Enemy UAV overhead.
Reloading.
That wasn't a headshot?
like you. Do you like me?
Get it together. This ain't over yet. Enemy UAV overhead.
Dude, I want to punch my screen.
Position airstrike. Take cover. It's over. We're all moving through that.
Hey, Rick, thanks for the love, man. Appreciate it.
Domination. Capture and defend the forward operator. We're on Alpha. Stand by.
Someone out!
We're holding Alpha. Securing Bravo. We're holding Bravo. We're in control.
Catch one. Changing mag.
We've got a UAV on station. We've got proof. Lock it down.
Throwing grenade! Flash out! Watch it!
He was aiming at me the whole time. God, I hate that, dude. Get off the fucking sniper.
Gunner out!
Flash myself.
On the sun!
Securing C.
Reloading.
Friendly UAV overhead.
Getting confused with these games.
Hostiles at Charlie, go. Friendly UAV overhead. Hostiles at Charlie, go. We've lost C. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly UAV overhead. We've got two objectives. Lock it down. You're needed at B. We've lost B.
Flash out.
Enemy holds two objectives. Take them back.
Grenade out.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Copy that, 1-5. Check your damn fire!
We're halfway there. Keep fighting. Enemy precision airstrike. Take cover.
I like you. Do you like me?
Cruise missile incoming. Take
Fuck,
cover.
dude.
Securing C. Captured Charlie. Enemy UAV overhead. Securing B.
Reloading!
Look. Securing Bravo.
Reloading!
We've lost A. Bravo secure. We've got a UAV on station. Ready?
This is Jaguar 3-0. Solid copy.
Losing Bravo. We've lost B. VTOL in the AO. RTB for resupply. Cruise missile, go for launch. They've got 2 objectives. Keep hitting them. Jaguar 0. Missile away. Nice shot, good kill. Securing Bravo. Hello, cruise missile away.
What? Oh ho ho ho. Okay. Got themselves a alley. Okay, yeah. What you get, bitch? I didn't know we can get those yet.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Damn, they're gonna catch up.
Friendly UAV overhead.
Thought that was my guy.
Enemy UAV overhead. We're losing ground. Step it up.
I like you. Do you like me?
We're taking Bravo. Got Bravo. Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Be advised. Friendly precision airstrike inbound. Enemy UAV.
Those never get anybody.
We've taken control. Friendly UAV overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. We're holding 2. We have the advantage. You're needed at B. Keep fighting. We got this. You're needed at Bravo. Trust me. Friendly chopper gunner on Overwatch. We've lost the lead. We're taking Bravo.
Wow.
Learn from the loss. Come back.
Evan, what's up, bro? Yeah, I'm playing this. I'm not gonna be done until it's done. Hopefully I get till like 1 a.m. or something, you know? Hey, thanks for the love as well. Hey, Jack, thanks for the love, my man. Appreciate it.
Team deathmatch. Enemy incoming. Weapons ready.
It's on out. Reloading. I'm shot. I'm hit. Changing mags. Stun out.
Reloading!
Stun out. Stun out. Gotta reload.
Allied UAV overhead.
All right.
Enemy personal radar overhead.
Changing mags. I'm shot.
Got him. X-ray down.
Reloading. I'm taking fire.
Soldat, you have lost the lead. UAV overhead. We have taken the lead.
Check fire! Same site!
Enemy has the lead. We have taken the lead. Allied UAV. Enemy cruise missile. Take cover. Enemy UAV overhead. You're losing control. Enemy UAV overhead. Have control. Crush them.
Changing mags. Good.
is ours. Keep pushing. Enemy personal radar overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Allied UAV overhead. We're halfway there. Keep going.
All right.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Stun out! Inside you! Stun out!
Enemy precision airstrike. Get down. The enemy has the lead.
Changing mags. Reloading.
Allied UAV is ready for flyover. Good copy. Enemy personal radar overhead. We have taken the lead. UAV is out of fuel. Returning to resupply. You're losing control. Command is ours. Maintain pressure. We are losing ground. Focus. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy personal radar overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Reloading. Enemy personal radar overhead. Forget the score. Fight for the job. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy cruise missile. Take cover. 1 minute remaining. They hit hard. Good. We will remember.
You said what? What am I resetting? Damn, I gotta restore. Well, just the Twitch one, right?
Team deathmatch. Enemy incoming. Weapons ready.
I'll try that after this game.
We have control. Crush them.
Got the first kill, bitches. Alright, I'll let you know. Got that fucked up, bro. Oh. Oh, who's playing? Dante? Me? Oh, you're playing. Don't get fucked up.
Reloading.
Niggas in here?
Reloading.
Badass. Alliance is always badass. I hate being the coalition. A gun runner again. Hey. Did we lose? Yeah, we did.
Yo, he's over there. He's over there. Dirty East. Dirty Central.
Team deathmatch.
Huh?
We've got enemy inbound. Lock and load. Enemy UAV overhead.
Nice, bitch.
Enemy personal radar in the air. Allied cruise missile away. Friendly UAV
What the
overhead.
fuck just happened? Huh? Yo, stop hitting me in the back, bitch. Ow. Ow.
Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Enemy UAV overhead. almost there. Let's bring it home. Enemy personal radar in the air.
Come on. Alright, let's win this shit. Hurry up.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Dropping out.
Enemy personal radar in the air. 30 seconds.
What the fuck?
Enemy UAV overhead.
Changing mags.
Come on, man. Only
Days
fucking
are.
15.
Report for debrief.
Yeah. Alright, just got into this one. Not a bad deal, though. Team deathmatch. We've got enemy inbound. Lock and load. Hold ahead. We've pulled ahead.
Changing mags.
Something one of these games.
Allied cruise missile away. Friendly UAV overhead.
Send a claymore.
Enemy UAV overhead.
I'm 1 and 3 right now. Gotta get it together.
We're losing control. Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover.
Come on, dude. one of these games. Get me all hot-blooded and shit.
Reloading. Enemy UAV overhead. Reloading. Reloading. Grenade out. Copy that, 1-5. Enemies halfway there. Step it up.
Dude, I cannot.
Friendly UAV overhead.
All right.
Enemy precision airstrike. Take cover. UAV overhead. Enemy VTOL in the AO. Allied cruise missile away.
Yeah, no help to me. No help from me.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Jesus Christ.
Friendly UAV overhead. Enemy cruise missile incoming. Take cover. Allied cruise missile away. We're losing this fight. Get your heads in the gun. Friendly UAV overhead. Fall back, soldier. Fight another day.
Awful. fucking yard. Why does it always give us 2 in a row?
Team deathmatch. Here they come. Attack! Reloading. We have taken the lead. Enemy personal radar overhead.
Second Claymore. Second Claymore.
Enemy UAV overhead. Allied UAV overhead. Reloading!
Stun out.
Reloading! Allied UAV overhead. Allied UAV overhead.
Reloading. Reloading.
Enemy UAV overhead. We're halfway there. Keep going. UAV is ready for
Request
flyover.
recon flyover.
Falcon 3-0. Good copy. UAV beginning flyover. Enemy UAV overhead.
Down.
Cruise missile ready to launch. UAV is out of fuel. Returning to enemy cruise missile. Take cover. Falcon 3-0. Cruise missile. Enemy UAV overhead. Impact. No hit. Allied UAV overhead. Enemy personal radar overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy cruise missile, take cover. Enemy UAV overhead.
Come
We
on,
have
dude.
lost the lead. We are in command here. Enemy UAV overhead. Enemy personal radar overhead. We are losing ground. Focus.
You're telling me nobody killed the Viking?
Not over. Get out there and hurt them. Enemy personal radar overhead. Enemy UAV overhead. Abort mission. Regroup.
Blood mail, is there blood mail shoulders? No, huh? What's a blood?
Man, somebody grease up these floors?
Wee.
Let's get out of the way real quick.
Minecraft.
Booty, oh hell yeah. What makes it?
Yo, I still have it out for Breezy, by the way. I don't think he's in the city, though.
Well, Breezy, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, what if we do...
I also saw Chris earlier.
Fuck, man, I really wish we could go inside the carpet company.
What if we, do it with a helicopter plan? If they grab a helicopter, we go on top of fucking construction.
Alright, yeah, we can do that. So how you want to do it, though? Helicopter in the back alley, or...?
Let's try to think of, let's see. Oh, hey! Fuck, what's the name of those cars?
What?
Let me think.
Yo, Jimmy's tweeting, too.
What's that car Kerry always steals so you can ramp off the front of it with a bike?
Say that again? The one she always steals, to my knowledge, is the lifeguard one.
Now I think we're gonna find it. I forget where you even find that.
Wait, this guy's selling biscuits?
Oh, you mean like
Toro
the
might
furnace?
Nah.
Let me think.
Or by the Turismo?
Yeah, I think it's Turismo.
The one that the one the red and
Yeah,
yellow one?
it looks super nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's near, that's over here. You can get that over here. GPS it. It's on Bay City Avenue, like near the beach. That's a two-seater, though.
No, you just use it to ramp.
Oh, alright.
So we could ramp cars over some wall, and on the other side we have the helicopter.
Oh, jeez.
I have a feeling somebody's gonna fuck it up and get left
No, it's
behind.
so easy. I did it with a Goma.
On top of construction?
No, we'll have to find a spot.
Today, thank you.
What?
Nothing. Shut the fuck up.
Usually here?
It's, if you turn around. Give me a sec. Yeah, just drive up forward here, and then you see like on this road right up here, like right here. Just gotta make some loops around, like drive around for a little bit.
If I remember where I found it last time. I know I saw one earlier. At the
Might be able to do with his Inferno as well.
cage.
Nah. Nah.
I hate when it's fucking raining.
What's this sweaty one?
Looking for a private investigator that can help solve a problem.
Mugen's looking for an investigator.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do we know that person?
I don't think so.
Let me call. Hey, Mubin, I heard you're looking for an investigator. Oh, wait. They hung up. I thought they answered. Yeah, fuck that bitch.
The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Available September 20th on Nintendo Switch.
If you say the word ping in everyday conversation, most people don't know what you're talking about. Gamers know that you're talking about lag. But beyond that, there's not really a lot of conversation as to what we're actually talking about. So, what are we talking about? Tell me about ping, bird. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, we ask the question, why is ping so important for online gaming? To start, ping is typically looked at as simply a number, and that's that, but it's actually a utility. The number is the product of that utility, which has actually been pinging around since December 1983, when its creator, Mike Muse, originally wrote it. The term ping is a reference to submarine lingo. Now, you can't actually see inside a submarine. They're built to withstand massive amounts of pressure so they can go very low, and for the most part, they aren't built with windows. Like I said, ping is a DOS program, but they don't have DOS either. What they have instead is sonar. Now, what sonar does is sends out a pulse of sound, which it would then listen for echoes. When it detected an echo of the sound, that meant something was nearby, or maybe not nearby. Depending on the time it took for the echo to travel, you could tell exactly how far something away was. The sound it made was a ping, like a literal type sound. To be frank, it doesn't sound anything like that, but that's because I am not a sonar machine. And with that, you've learned another new thing. Falcon is not a sonar machine. I don't know if your brain can handle all of these new informations. But there's more. Given it made a ping sound, the slang surrounding the technology was, "give me a ping," for instance. which would mean they would send out a sonar ping and see if there was anything around to navigate around. Computer pings aren't unlike that. I mean, when you're in a game, you're not in a submarine, and you usually can see what's going on exactly, at least from your character's perspective, so it makes sense that ping operates a little bit differently. What happens is that echo request packets are sent to the target host, and the time it takes for those packets to come back is your ping. Now, how fast exactly do data packets go? You might be surprised to find out they go at about 30% the speed of light, which is roughly a little bit more than 60,000 miles per second. So, making the assumption you live about 600 miles away from whatever server that you're interacting with, your ping there, assuming nothing is going wrong and that physics isn't getting in the way in some other way, could potentially be somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 milliseconds. Now, as we all know, that's not typically it. Real-world lag times can often be more, but generally a game is usually tolerable if its ping is under 100 milliseconds or 1/10 of a second. Now, because we're all playing games that are intended to feel like real-time interactions, having lag that's 80 milliseconds actually isn't real-time, of course. So how do games handle that? Well, a lot of games have what they call a tick rate, which is a small unit of time that every time a tick passes, the server will send out a tick packet, which is basically where it assumes all of the players will be and what they will be doing, based on the last few pieces of information it was given by players. Now, this generally works fine if there's not a lot of lag within all of the players. Most of the time, you're not going to see a lot of conflict between actual player movement and a tick packet. In fact, you may not even see any difference. But if the player you're interacting with has a little bit more lag, then the amount of time between right now and when the tick packet goes out, they may end up being in a place
The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Available September 20th on Nintendo Switch.
that, well, they aren't actually in, and let's say you did a really cool attack, but they dodged it, well, when everything syncs up, both things can't have happened because they're conflicting actions. So the game will then have to decide which thing actually happened, whether you killed them or whether they dodged it. Now, obviously, this is not what we would call a preferable situation. Unfortunately, there's not really a lot you can do about ping. A lot of the time, the reason you have bad ping is that your ISP will route your data through a kind of Rube Goldberg chain, which is not an official term, but I think accurately sums up what we're talking about, where the different points of the chain are not the quickest route to, let's say, the League of Legends servers. And this is, of course, because the point is to make money. And to make money, you do things as cheaply as possible. And if it costs more to do the more direct thing, and it does, you don't do it. You send that data on the scenic route. Now, there are things you can do about this, but it requires more services. You could get a VPN, for instance, that is designed specifically to avoid lag. Now, what that means is the VPN would have to have a server near you that you would therefore naturally be able to get a pretty good connection to on account your ISP would not send it through a Rube Goldberg machine because the VPN server is near you. It's not only near you, but if it's a gaming VPN intended to reduce your lag, what you're paying for is that they will actually take you along the shortest path between yourself and the gaming server. Now, VPNs that are specifically made to reduce lag, like, let's say, Mudfish or WTFast or Ping Zapper or Battle Ping, in theory they do this, but it's also very important that the VPN is actually near you for it to matter. If it gets caught up in the Rube Goldberg chain, it's going to actually increase your ping. So if that is a solution that you're looking at to reduce ping, that's what you need to be looking at probably more than anything else. Similarly, some cable providers are providing these services, either by building their own VPN type networks on their own, or by subcontracting one of the others. For instance, Cox Cable apparently subcontracts WT-Fast for their Elite Gamer service, which costs $15 a month in addition to your regular cable package. And just to note, I have no idea if that is a good deal or not. I do not have Cox Cable. In fact, League of Legends has been doing this exact thing, basically setting up its own network, working with various ISPs, and drastically reducing the ping times players experience since 2015. Now, you may end up hearing from manufacturers of gaming routers, for instance, that their router manages to fix all of the problems that a gamer might have in using a Wi-Fi router, but in truth, the best thing you can do for lag on at least your end is to not use Wi-Fi. That's not to say a gaming router isn't definitely your best choice if you intend on doing gaming over Wi-Fi. It absolutely is. Online gaming is actually a fairly low bandwidth activity, so if it's prioritized over any other activity, say Netflix or whatever, it can actually do pretty well, even competing with somebody else's Netflix feed. Remember, Netflix is not a real-time activity, it's buffered video. Even though it takes up a lot of bandwidth, if that bandwidth is second priority over the small packets you're sending.
Summer's almost over, and I'm sad. And I know you are too. But here's something to cheer you up. Go to
sending to play a game, it could, in theory, not be interfered with, at least by other people using the Wi-Fi. Looking into gaming Wi-Fi routers would definitely be the best idea if you can't use wired internet in your home, but a good old Ethernet cord cannot be beat. Using a wired connection to play games, of course, eliminates the possibility of Wi-Fi interference, which, let's just be clear, can very easily happen. We also should, at this point, all know that Wi-Fi is not the most reliable thing in the world, and although technically it's an amazing technology, simply plugging a wire in is just the best choice. So, to summarize, ping is more or less the measurement of time that passes between data transfers. Anyone playing games knows that ping is important because a lower ping number means a better experience. But now, you probably know a little bit more about exactly why it's important than you did before, and even some solutions as to how you might be able to get a better ping. If you love online games and play them often, that is of course important. If you do not, obviously this wasn't important. So the answer to why ping is so important is irrelevant to you, but I don't think that I'm speaking to too many people who are watching this video and are coming.
What don't you like about Call of Duty Ghosts?
Everything is just terrible. The game's so slow-paced. Good point, eh? So slow-paced, it just encourages bad players.
Another year, another failure. Same shit, different disc. Call of Duty Ghosts multiplayer sucks. How surprising.
Why is Call of Duty Ghosts, at least, such a bad game?
I think Ghost is the worst Call of Duty. A lot of the maps on Ghost are bad. They're really big, bad, ugly.
Fucking look at that texture, man.
This game has what are probably the highest system requirements on the market right now, and that is just ridiculous.
Ghosts just feels like a fuck up, a mistake.
I had to spend $8 of my own dollars on this, and I want that $8 back. It's that bad.
Well, the single player was pretty much a nosedive according to everyone in the community.
The plot and the story is the dumbest I had ever heard.
So however you might have expected a game called Ghosts to differ from the modern shooter routine of meaningless violence and empty spectacle, you were wrong, you idiot.
Everything looks the same. Honestly, I swear to God, if I just opened this game accidentally, I would think I was in Black Ops 2.
How can a series go on this long and always get worse? Worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
I mean, most of you guys think if I touch this game, it'll probably burst into flames.
I'm coming to the verdict that this game is fucking garbage. I mean, this game was so boring, you had to put clothespins on your nutsack just to stay awake playing this shit.
Look at that texture, you can even read the label. I feel like I'm running around with like the worst vision ever.
The maps, they all fucking suck.
Pulling out a SATCOM, which is completely a fucking useless kill streak.
You're supposed to care about it somehow. I sat myself through this because I figured, you know what, it's worth a shot. But was it worth it? No, it was not worth it at all. None of this was worth it.
Well, well, well. Or should I say, wool, wool, wool. If it isn't the undisputed black sheep of the Call of Duty franchise. Unlike a traditional Ghost, this game stands out like 100% does on an opacity slider. There is no amount of stealth or white smoke that can cloak this game's reputation. Fans were still pretty mixed about Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and none of us really knew how the next Call of Duty would turn out. It was a time of uncertainty. So, Treyarch passed the torch to Infinity Ward. It was their time to go down the slide, and when they came down, they held up their latest creation. And people did not like the game. In fact, they hated it. They hated it some more, but not before hating it a little bit. And just to switch things up, they fucking hated it. Although none of this seemed to affect mainstream critics' view, who live off in fucking La La Land completely isolated from the opinions of the general populace. And they just slap a 7 out of 10 or above on every Call of Duty game. Side rant over, if you do an Ask Jeeves search of the best/worst Call of Duty games in order, you would be hard-pressed to find one that doesn't have ghosts at or near the top for worst, and at the bottom of best. Ghosts would remain public enemy number 1 until Infinite Warfare, but even that manufactured garbage didn't change people's minds about Ghosts. Now I'm going to do something a little different with this video. I'm going to review Ghosts like normal with my own thoughts and opinions, that's what you're here for, and using the power of hindsight will help us in re-evaluating the game. However, I also want to put myself in the shoes of a Call of Duty fan back in 2013 and peer through that lens. By combining these two perspectives, perhaps we can discover some new intel on this game and find out why Call of Duty Ghosts was so hated. So what the hell happened here? Why was Ghosts so divisive? Did the game change too much or not enough? Why don't many people talk about the campaign or story? Did Ghosts leave a permanent stain on this franchise's reputation? Did it excel in certain areas? And most importantly, where did the hate come from, and was it justified? Well, let's walk our dog through a war zone, get lost on Stonehaven, and ghost our way straight into this.
Call of Duty set the gold standard for first-person action in the current gen, and make no mistake, we're going to do it again with Call of Duty Ghosts for the next gen.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
It's not enough to just outline all the most common complaints people had with the game at the start of this video and call it a day. My job is not that easy. For most things, we'll discuss them when we get to them, like the maps, campaign, customization, etc. But what I can talk about right now is expectations. More specifically, Activision and Infinity Ward's complete failure to meet them. So I want to take you back and look at the 7th generation of consoles. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are all doing pretty well in the sales department. Each console had its own niche and crowd supporting it. A simple comparison of games between the two generations revealed an entirely new level of polish, pizzazz, and technical capabilities that demonstrated a clear upgrade. But all three of these companies really sputtered in the 8th generation. The Wii U was a bomb that couldn't capitalize on its predecessor's success. Microsoft's reveal of the Xbox One, it turned them into a complete laughingstock. And while Sony had the upper hand this time, even the PlayStation 4 didn't make for a convincing buy at launch. So what we have is a bunch of hardware that most people aren't interested in. They don't believe it's worth buying, and they don't see much of a difference. This was the boat that Call of Duty Ghosts set sail and sunk in. I mean, you can really tell just how excited people were.
And as a side note, there are no more death streaks.
Now, I understand, it's tough creating a game for two different generations simultaneously. That probably put more of a stranglehold on what Infinity Ward could do with the game. But that's not gonna bail them out here. At the same time, modern shooters were kind of dying out, gone the way of the rhythm games and the dodo. Ghosts just felt like yet another modern shooter. not some top-of-the-line, next-gen first-person shooter it was claimed to be. And new trends would appear with the unveiling of Titanfall at E3, which kind of made Call of Duty look obsolete for a little bit.
Our new dog model is taken from high-resolution scans of an actual SEAL Team service dog.
So we have fish move out of the way when you get close to them.
You know what? I take it all back. COD Ghosts was amazing, and it pushed the boundaries on the most important part of game design, the graphical fidelity of dogs. Never before had we seen a game where fish actually swam away from the player. We had a new generation of consoles, and a new Call of Duty coming out, and both had failed in the eyes of the public to innovate in noticeable ways. We were not impressed. But outside factors were the least of Ghost's problems.
Go to williampainter.com to get off. $50 off, that is. Use promo code.
You know why they call it Ghosts? Because it's a ghost of its former self.
Hey, that really sucked!
I'm not sure which is more painful to endure. A story that tries to be deep but doesn't make any sense, or a story that's just plain boring. Luckily, COD Ghosts gives us a taste of both. It looked fairly promising from the trailers.
Soldiers stand against their enemies, but ghosts haunt them.
Surprise, motherfucker! They even bragged about their Academy Award-winning writer who wrote the film Traffic. I mean, shit, a focus on the ghosts? Running special ops missions based on stealth? I mean, look at how fucking cool they look. All the art is just like, I want to be that guy. The campaign has a somewhat promising start. We're told the legend of the Ghosts, how a group of 60 men stood down a force of 500 with the objective of defending a hospital.
Oh, great group of guys.
The visual presentation is what impresses me the most. The way those bullets streak through the bodies like passing through jello, how the bullets of black greatly outnumber those in white, illustrating their fight against the odds. Every shot has a unique composition that tells a tale of how a small group of soldiers transformed into an ethereal, lethal force. This game has a unique style, and the artist did a kick-ass job with the overall aesthetic. Thing is, I love watching these cutscenes, but I don't like listening to them. The expository dialogue actually takes away from the impact of this story, although I understand its necessity because then it cuts to a nice picnic area between a man and his 2 sons.
He called them ghosts.
And this really happened. So the legend goes. Come on, Dad. You don't honestly believe that story's true.
Bitch, where do you think the plot is headed? Yes, son, I brought it up for no reason at all. No fucking reason at all. Just to waste your time. You should be more like your brother and keep your mouth closed so you don't disappoint me with your moronic fucking questions. Also, you're adopted.
Come on, let's head back to the house.
While we're walking home, let's take a second to introduce our characters. Elias Walker is the dad, Hesh Walker is the brother, and you're Logan Walker, the other brother. Anyways, in the span of 3 minutes, we go from a nice day in the park to the apocalypse. That's pretty jarring. And right away it becomes apparent that the silent protagonist shtick is not gonna work out for this game, because it's essentially a story about brotherhood, 2 brothers in particular. But how can we experience the depth of this relationship when one side of it is incapable of communication?
What they really wanted in this game, in Call of Duty Ghosts, is they wanted emotional reality. You know, they wanted these characters to feel real, to feel like real people.
It creates a disconnect that lasts from beginning to end.
What the hell is Dad talking about? What's Odin?
Hey, maybe it's one of those plot devices that never has a real explanation for its existence. I fucking knew it. So the Walker brothers, no, not those guys, these guys push open a door, and it cuts to 15 minutes earlier. We're in space now because that's the Call of Duty cycle.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to going home. What's it been? 3 months?
Oh yeah, I bet today is your last day before retirement too, eh? I'm sure you'll get home fine. Oh shit, the station's been compromised. Help, we need... Wait a minute, who are these guys? I mean, it's a pretty cool set piece. A lot of fun moments as you fly around shooting bad guys. Headshot. Okay, so the Odin station starts firing on the US, and hold on. Why does the United States have this massive super weapon chilling up in space? And how is security so bad that a group of 30 guys can sneak a bunch of firearms onto it with nobody noticing? Alright kids, take out your textbooks, turn to page 207. The word of today is contrived. So, what's the evil faction this time? Russians, Germans, Japanese? No, it's the The Federation. Might as well just call them Team Evil. So the premise is that some disaster struck the great energy-producing deserts, which then made every country that depended on that energy obsolete, therefore giving the rest of the world a convenient reason to not intervene in this conflict whatsoever.
Emotional reality.
Don't get me wrong, the setting of a war-torn America is fucking awesome, and the levels are beautiful. The artists, again, do an incredible job on the landscapes and graphics. It really pulls you into the setting. But the logic is missing. In Black Ops 2, Menendez's rise to power is more convincing, as it's shown how he's able to manipulate the hearts and minds of people, and how he used social media and viral marketing to promote his cause, tap into the revolutionaries and win them over. More importantly, his rise to power was actually covered in some capacity. In Ghosts, you'd think a massive space station being hijacked and firing on the United States killing millions would get the other world nations involved, but nah, the rest of the world fucks off because they don't have the most valuable resource known to man, desert energy. The Federation's rise to power is summarized in a fucking sentence.
The Federation united all of South America under one banner and devoured everything in its path as it moved relentlessly to the north. We fought hard. We fought well.
Out on the plains, we gave them hell. And here's another problem. How does this invasion affect the government, the news media, the citizens? Who cares? You came to see the ghosts, right? These important questions don't need to be answered, because we're not supposed to relate to what's going on and the people affected by it.
Emotional reality.
Anyways, we jump forward 10 years and the United States is a wasteland. In this alternate reality, Trump has already built the wall, but it hasn't kept illegal immigrants out, and so as the new border patrol, Hesh and Logan need to scout the area. Ha! Up and down burger. Now that's clever. And as you play through, you realize these are more open Call of Duty levels?
Now ain't this a surprise?
I'll talk more about the level design later, because right now our dog is murdering people.
Dog model.
Yep, this is Riley, that good old woofer that was showcased in the trailers and announcement videos. Now some people might have hated Call of Duty Ghosts because of this dog and how overly emphasized it was.
One of the fascinating new additions to your squad is a dog. This is someone you care about. This is a squad member.
But to me, Riley is the most talented, obedient dog in the world. Riley, go kill that man over there. Go sneak through the tall grass without being spotted or alerting those guys with guns. And Riley, make sure the camera is pointed towards this one guy. Riley, come ride in the tank with us and look adorable. Riley, come pilot this helicopter. Riley, cook my breakfast. Riley, do my taxes. Riley, go back in time and prevent the Holocaust. Anyways, we kill some guys, meet up with Elias, and get set to head to no man's land. And hot damn, I will say it again, this game is gorgeous. As we stealth our way through a dilapidated California, we come across a captive ghost and a man named Rourke, who is hunting the ghosts. We sneak by, head into the forest, and find a hungry pack of wolves. Gee, wonder what's gonna happen. Why, of course, a quick-time event.
Well, who didn't see that coming?
Oh no, Riley's hurt. Oh, hey, thanks for the save. What's up, Casper? How you doing, Slimer? You guys just get back from Luigi's mansion?
Summer's almost over. And I'm sad. And I know you are too.
God damn it, William Peter.
Merrick and Keegan are a couple ghosts who recruit us to help them save their buddy Ajax. And this is where the plot kind of derails into irrelevance. To summarize, Rourke used to be a ghost, but during a mission, Elias and him get into some trouble, and he had to drop Rourke to save his own life?
Whoa, what?
Leave him or we'll never make it.
Elias, we're too heavy!
Oh no, Rourke, you're too heavy. You should have lost weight. So after being publicly fat-shamed, Rourke was kidnapped by the Federation, brainwashed, and now wants revenge on Elias, his sons, and the entire United States.
And a ghost won't stop until he completes his mission.
So that's his motivation. Now I want to ask all of you, what's the one thing any and all stories need to be interesting? Conflict. The biggest flaw with Ghost's Academy Award-winning writing is the way the conflict and the bad guy are written. Ghost doesn't just brush over the motivations of the Federation, they don't even mention it. What is the Federation's ultimate goal? Why did they invade the United States?
You must have no end of questions, Guardian.
You know why Halo 2 had Tartarus as the leader of the Brutes? Because it's easier for the audience to understand what the Brutes are about by having a charismatic leader that represents them. Shan Yu from Mulan.
Nice work, gentlemen. You found the Hun army.
Ozai from Avatar The Last Airbender. Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean.
What are you looking at? Back to work.
These leaders have a lasting impact on their respective stories because of how they take charge of the factions they lead.
Agreed.
Rourke doesn't do shit to represent the Federation. I don't even know what the connection is. He's the worst villain in the franchise by far. And this organization is given almost no screen time or development. The soldiers are barely characterized at all. I mean, we did interrogate one Federation soldier.
Where is he? I don't know what he is.
Oh, what's that? You don't have a passport? Who are the leaders? I mean, you're talking about an entire continent rising up, banding together, and invading the nation above them. Obviously, someone has to be in charge of all that, and it ain't this fucking guy who was just brainwashed. If we don't care about the conflict, then we don't care about the characters overcoming it. And if we don't care about the characters, we don't give two shits about the story. And if we don't give two shits about the story, then why am I talking about it? The rest of the game is inconsequential filler up until the last few missions where we settle the score with Rourke. So he captures the gang, tortures us and Elias, and then...
Let's see if I can change your mind.
Oh no.
No! Son of a bitch, I'm gonna kill you! Easy, Junior. I ain't even started with you yet.
Oh fuck, I'm bleeding out. But that was literally just a plot device for drama because 5 minutes later he gets up like nothing is wrong.
Emotional reality.
Characters shrug off bullets like they're nothing. It shatters the immersion so completely.
It's over.
You okay, Merrick? Ribs broken. But I can move.
Pressure on that wound! I'm trying! Hang in there, my friend! He needs help now! Shit! You're bleeding! Looks worse than it is. You're gonna be okay.
And oh god, let's talk about the ending.
You're done, Rourke. Finish this.
Hesh and Logan assault Rourke's train because he has a train, and then we confront the man himself.
It's over.
Oh shit. Never mind, don't worry, Hesh. It's just a gunshot wound, I'm sure you'll be fine. After a struggle, we gain the upper hand on Rourke, and then...
Logan! Do it! Now!
You think he's dead? Yeah, he's probably dead. We swim to safety, and that's it. A job well done. The Federation is on the retreat. We won. Ah, what a beautiful view. I could die on this beach all day. Ow! Whoa, whoa, whoa! How the... My arm! Ah! No. No! And that's the real ending. Rourke drags us away, presumably to brainwash and torture us just like he was. Find out in Call of Duty Ghosts 2. So why do people hate the Ghosts campaign? Well, because it's awful. It's the black sheep in terms of story too, because it doesn't connect to any other games, and it didn't even include Ghost from Modern Warfare 2. One of the biggest disappointments was how the marketing in the intro portrayed the campaign. It led us all to believe we'd be playing as a stealthy group of soldiers who used guerrilla tactics to win fights. And while those sections do exist, and they're pretty awesome in their own right, they're overshadowed by the typical one-man army gun down everyone you see type of gameplay. It's got 18 missions, which is a hell of a lot, an Academy Award-winning writer, next-gen technology. How did it turn out so bad? It's decisively average with the gameplay too. All the different scenarios and set pieces are well constructed and entertaining. It was fun flying around space and shooting guys. And the actual pacing of the levels reminds me a lot of COD 4, because Ghost puts a lot of emphasis on the build-up to the firefights. But there's a reason nobody talks about this campaign. Hesh, Logan, Elias, Merrick, Rourke, that other guy. It's just not a compelling story. And here's something I should have brought up a long time ago. Not every game and story needs to have a huge amount of depth. No, some stories can just be fun. If it's got deep storytelling or it's a blast to play through, then I'm on board. But Ghost doesn't have either of that. It's cartoony, contrived, and we could spend all day picking apart this disaster piece by piece. That's why it was so forgettable. That's why the campaign was so hated.
You know what's hotter than this fire? The William Painter Summer Sale. Go to WilliamPainter.com, pick out your favorite pair of sunglasses, and save $50 with promo code LIT.
An artist sees the world differently. Our work is never finished. We look at the world that we created and ask ourselves, what can be done better? From visuals to sounds, we carefully took what was already good and turned it into something better. Now, an adventure far beyond imagination will soon unfold in front of your eyes and ears. Join us in our all-new, breathtakingly immersive experience. Get ready to go beyond limits. Introducing Black Desert Online Remastered.
Ghosts easily has the most bizarre take on the COD formula, but let's talk positives first. Gunplay is instantly familiar and feels heavier in a good way. There's a huge variety of weapons, sound effects are beefy. A prepubescent teen could grow a full chest of hair overnight listening to these gunshots. Animations are top notch, and that deserves some clout. The leaning was an interesting idea at the time, and when you scope in, there's now a blur effect on the outside instead of just a pure black outline. And you can even slide into the action with Call of Duty Ghosts, a neat mechanic that would return in basically every game after this. There was a squad mode, which allowed you to create loadouts for bots, set them against each other. That's weird, who cares? And Ghosts also gave us some of the most pimped out DLC we've ever seen in gaming. Snoop D-O-double-G, Announcer Voice Pack.
You just laid them busters down, but there's another round.
Now if that ain't the shiznit, then I don't know what is.
Pour out a little liquor for your sentry gun.
They also got Arlie Ermy as the drill instructor. And for 3 papers, hell yeah son, that's a damn good deal. Perk system is fly, but not super fly. I can dig it, yo. And this system is entirely unique to Ghosts. Perks cost a set number of points, so you could choose a few stronger ones or a bunch of weaker ones. You can sacrifice equipment and weapons for more perk slots. There's a whole bunch of perks to play around with. You can really carve out a unique play style. There's lots of game modes, even some new ones like Grind, which was basically Headhunter from Halo Reach. It's decent fun. Then they had Search and Destroy, the big boy, which is one of my personal favorite modes in the franchise. It's S&D, but you can save your teammates and deny respawns to your enemies by collecting dog tags. One thing you might not know is that COD Ghosts advocates for hardcore drug abuse with its new mode, Cranked. In TDM, you score a kill and it feels satisfying, yeah? When you score a kill in this mode, you get cranked. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, I'm cranking now, boys. Oh, dude, that's some good crank. Ghosts was also the first to introduce soldier customization, changing outfits, headgear, and all sorts of accessories to choose from. You can even pick one of the classic characters like Captain Price, Makarov, and Soap McTavish, of course if you pay a nominal fee. Whoa, 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 what is this? Women and minorities in my Call of Duty games? Who decided to put so much politics into this game? On a more serious note, let's talk negatives, i.e. the rest of the game. Fans were upset because CTF wasn't in here at launch, and neither was Search and Destroy. Unfortunately, Ghosts has the sorriest progression and leveling system I've seen. Squad points are cool in theory, but the problem is you unlock whatever you want, no matter your level. Sounds nice, but it makes ranking up feel incredibly unsatisfying. Weapon progression is lame as hell too, dog. Want an attachment? Just go ahead and buy it. Who cares? No kills or time required. That's just straight wiggity whack, man. Know what I'm saying? When a game gives you everything, it doesn't feel like you're working towards something. And with the prestige system having you start a new character instead of restarting entirely, there's no longer a tough decision to make on if you want to re-unlock everything. It sucks. Fans wanted a grind, and they didn't get it. Additionally, Ghosts has some of the shortest kill times. Yeah, people complained about short time to kill in a COD game. But it's a valid complaint. The game is super twitchy. It's like they were prototyping the hardcore modes and then just never turned it off. Combined with how rare it is to see people, there really is not much action to be found in the multiplayer. Balancing is alright, but every COD game has its shitty, overpowered playstyle that damn near everyone uses and frustrates the hell out of everyone else. And now it's camping with a thermal scope. Why is this so common? I'll tell you later.
If you're not camping, you're not playing Ghosts, honestly. Because that was the main problem.
No, I was gonna say, no, if you're not placing on your Savcom pizza box and camping with a dog, you are truly not playing COD Ghosts.
You know what bugs me? The way this shit is displayed. Having 80% of the camos and reticles consist of paid content with that stupid green symbol is pretty fucking annoying to look at. There's so much garbage in this game and it takes away the fun of working to unlock camos. But shit, at least you can smoke up, homie. Now let's talk streaks. The same system returns from MW3. Most of the streaks are pretty average, but what players really hated was the SATCOM. A strange twist on the UAV where you have to put it on the ground, and even then, you needed 2 of them to get the standard UAV effect. Yeah, there's a reason they never implemented this in future games. Kill streaks are very underwhelming overall. We went from emergency airdrop on the fucking way to I guess there's an A-10 strafe run or something, whatever. Field orders were also hated because they allowed dumbasses like me to do this. I got a freaking chem strike for stabbing a guy. How is that fair? In a nutshell, the multiplayer was divisive for the ways it altered progression, prestige, kill times, the disappointing score streaks, and every other aspect. People expected things like weapon perks, theater mode to return, and they didn't for whatever reason. The multiplayer might have had some good changes, but it lost a lot of parts of that Call of Duty identity we all know and love. Which brings me to my next subject. So, what does sexy ol' Act-Man think about the map design in Ghosts? This is easily the most common and fiercely despised aspect of the multiplayer. Now the question is why? You might expect that based on what I've said in the past that I'm going to instantly love the maps in Ghosts because hardly any of them are 3 lanes, but you'd be wrong! However, their immense size doesn't complement Call of Duty's fast-paced gameplay. Let's face it, you don't buy a COD game, hop in a multiplayer match, and then make long methodical decisions about how to approach the enemy's position. Maybe in Search and Destroy and Search and Rescue to a greater extent, but for the most part, no. This is not Rainbow Six Siege, or even Battlefield. Most COD fans want to jump into a match and just run around shooting people. That's fine. But when your maps get in the way of that simplistic fun, that's when people get upset. Stonehaven, for example, probably the most hated map in franchise history. It's massive, and because of the size and sightlines, the game heavily encourages camping with sniper rifles and or thermal scopes, which makes it all the more aggravating if you don't favor that playstyle. Stormfront in TDM is a chaotic clusterfuck. On some maps, it's nearly impossible to predict the spawns or get a general idea of the enemy's position, so you end up running around flailing your crosshairs all over the place like a chicken with its head cut off. The flow is just awful. When you look at the overhead designs of maps in other games, you can see the logic behind it. I might bitch and moan about the nature of 3-lane maps, but they work for a reason. It makes it simple to find other players. But when you look at the maps in Ghosts, it's like they just scribbled a bunch of lines all over the place. It's a fucking mess. I mean, do you need all this extra space over here? Let me put this in bold text so it's absolutely clear. The maps aren't bad, but they're bad for Call of Duty. You don't have access to Ghost's full potential unless you have 8v8 or 9v9 matches, the maximum amount of players. And nobody in matchmaking had that. You needed custom games. So naturally people are going to hate the maps because they can't find anyone to shoot. In short, yes, the larger maps are too big, matches go on for too long, and that fast-paced gameplay loses power. Where Ghosts constantly drops the ball in substance and gameplay, it is always spot on artistically, which is something I don't think this game got enough credit for. A very underrated aspect of map design is the story of the map itself. This is left up to player imagination, and when you look at Tremor, you see all these missing posters, writing, and art on the giant wall, similar to the Berlin Wall. It's a minor detail, but they even had handicap parking signs. It's like all these details are really unnecessary, and most people probably didn't notice or care to look at them. But it's something I appreciate. Whiteout is like a fishing dock, with these sick log cabins decked out with all sorts of pelts and paintings. Some homies were even having a poker game. There's a helicopter with spinning blades that you can kill yourself on. Now how cool is that? Sovereign might be a factory, but it's actually cool. All futuristic and shit. There's a conveyor belt building tanks as the match goes on. Additionally, sometimes they got unique gimmicks. The maps are dynamic. It's not always a plus though. Free Fall is set on a collapsing building and periodically shakes the camera around, which really messes with your aim. But in Strike Zone, when a player gets to Chem Strike, it changes the map entirely and aesthetically. In Warhawk, you can use a breach charge on a door to open a pathway, and on Freight you can open and close doors that reveal new areas. So say what you will about how these maps play, not one of them is lacking in style, charm, and detail. It's this startling contrast that makes Ghost so unique. It's a far cry from the blocks on a grid with 3 lanes and 2-story heights archetype that has become synonymous with the Call of Duty brand nowadays. The effort is here, it's just misplaced in certain areas. Something must have gone horribly wrong in the testing process of these maps. I have no idea what they were thinking.
Which one of you shoes was just over here?
Oh, what the fuck? There's an underwater part of this map?
Oh,
yeah, there was underwater.
Oh god.
Yeah, if you fall in the water, you drown. So
Hey guys.
Oh no. Oh
my
god.
reaction.
Is it worth going back to play the multiplayer all these years later? But if you got the capabilities to host some custom games, you might find some enjoyment you never did before. For a long time, Infinity Ward had been looking for an answer to Treyarch's Nazi zombies. Well, apparently Spec Ops and Survival from Modern Warfare 3 wasn't good enough for some reason. And so they made something completely new, Extinction, Infinity Ward's third attempt to one-up Treyarch, and what has been called Ghost's best feature nowadays. Whether or not that says much is up to you, but it doesn't. Now I went into this mode totally blind, had no idea what to expect. My first match, so much fun. I explored the map with childlike exuberance. What's this? What's that? Weapon upgrades? Special ammo? Gimme, gimme, gimme! I shot at aliens and frantically ran around them for 30 minutes before my organs were finally harvested without my consent. I immediately wanted to play again, but then it hit me. Would Extinction play out the same way every time? If it did, the mode would get older faster than Benjamin Button. So how does it hold up after 6 years? Well, you're thrown to the wolves, or should I say cryptids, almost immediately. And in Points of Contact, the first mission, there isn't much story to go off of.
Ain't seen anything like this before. Jesus, don't let that stop you from smearing it all over yourself.
It takes place in an alternate timeline, because every Call of Duty game needs alternate timelines, where the Odin strikes accidentally unleashed an ancient breed of aliens upon the world. So what's a nameless character supposed to do? You need to use the drill to take out the hives on your way to the crater. Arm that nuke and haul ass back here. There's apparently a story here, but it's in the DLC, so fuck that. Character and dialogue is an unfortunate reminder of COD World War II zombies. Extinction is more or less zombies and survival mashed together. In a lot of ways, it's one of the most unique side modes we've seen in the series. Instead of surviving for as many rounds as possible like a plebeian, the map is linear progressive. You can take time to explore, and the cryptids periodically spawn while you do, to keep things interesting. When you activate the drill, it also starts a holdout style of gameplay, and you have to protect the drill from the cryptids. As you advance through the different areas, new enemies appear. Sometimes a helicopter flies above to help you into the next area, and each area is dynamic and different from the last. customization is there, but not as fleshed out as I'd like. You level up and unlock new skills, like different types of ammo crates, turrets, weapons, etc. There are 4 classes to choose from, each with a unique set of skills and playstyles. I do like the strategic aspect of talking with your team and planning what class you're all gonna play. It adds some depth and teamwork. You earn Skrilla just like in Survival, but there's not as much to do with it. You're able to buy weapons, activate traps, call in helicopters, and use special abilities. Though light, what I really enjoy about Extinction is the emphasis on surviving. You can scavenge supplies and caches around the map. They could contain cash, special ordnance, attachments. It makes it fun and rewarding to explore.
Score!
Zombies and Spec Ops and even the campaigns are more traditionally geared towards grounded combat, so it messes with your sensibilities a bit in a good way to see these cryptids hopping all over the place. They jump on street signs, gallop over buildings, charge towards you. It gives a newfound level of verticality and openness to the map. The cryptids have all sorts of diverse roles. Some are strong and armored, others weak and nimble. I just about pooped my pants the first time I saw a rhino. Holy tits, that was an experience. Problems arise the moment you realize the layout is the exact same shiznit for each playthrough. Go down the path, kill the aliens. Had the developers maybe made more maps, the mode wouldn't have bored me after the 5th playthrough. There is no excuse for 3 studios with massive funding and on a brand new generation of consoles to only give you 1 map, and then sell you 4 additional ones for $15. I always think back to Black Ops 1, which had Kino der Toten, Classified, and Dead Ops Arcade. Perfect amount of content, more than I expected. Because if you don't like one map, at least you have another. As a solo experience, Extinction starts out fun and quickly transitions into aggravating. When you're on your own, you never have enough time to reload, to outrun the zombalians, to repair the drill. It becomes tedious. At a certain point, the game doesn't stop throwing cryptids at you and you can't shoot your way through when you're holding the drill, so what I'm trying to say is you get to a certain point in solo play where you just get fucked. The finale is pretty epic though. You arm the nuke and have a limited amount of time to run back to the start. It's intense. But when you beat the level, it's like, what's next? Play it on a harder difficulty? Chaos mode? That might satisfy for a bit, but it doesn't for long. At the end of it, some fans might have enjoyed Extinction more so than the multiplayer and campaign, and it has its role as a unique side mode that combines survival and zombies. But I feel like Neversoft missed out on so much potential. If they made it more replayable, given us more maps, it probably wouldn't have gotten much hate at all. Who knows, maybe it was just too bizarre and off the beaten path for most fans to sink much time into it. I spent way more time in Spec Ops and the other zombies modes than I did here, but I see its appeal, and I understand why people want to see Infinity Ward or even another team take another swing at Extinction. Call of Duty Ghosts still sits at the loser table during lunch, and it probably won't ever sit with the cool kids. When viewed through the lens of hindsight, it seems like people are starting to warm up to this game a little bit. Maybe that's just because the last few releases have been so awful. Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 3 had their fair share of criticism at release, but have since been reappraised. On the other hand, Ghosts is still very much hated. To me, it lacks a lot of depth that made games like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, World at War, Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 replayable to this day. You probably won't find matches beyond TDM, so it's unlikely the game has any steam or life left. But did Ghosts deserve all the hate? In some ways, yes. But people have a tendency to overreact with these things. How much of that hate was toxic frustration and how much of it was genuine criticism? It's hard to tell. Ghosts is caught in this awkward in-between where nobody really has a desire to go back and re-experience the game. I only did it because people asked me to. And there's no nostalgia factor here. Nobody is wishing they could return to the glory days of Call of Duty Ghosts. At the time of its release up until the present day, everything Ghosts did or has done was better implemented elsewhere in the franchise. The single player is average, and the storytelling even worse. Rourke and the Federation fall flat as villains, and I never felt like I was rooting for the main characters to succeed. The game was still a financial success, but you can clearly tell that Infinity Ward and the other dev teams took notice of all the hate this game got. I think that's why we started to see this downward spiral in creativity after Ghosts. For what it's worth, Ghosts tried a lot of new things, some of which would be adopted in later games, and others that, thank God, never made a return. Most of the changes weren't accepted by the fan base, and that's why it has the reputation it does. Multiplayer has some interesting ideas, and the guns feel awesome, yet there's so much weirdness within the progression and map design that it takes away from that addicting Call of Duty feel. Once you take out the grind, you lose people. And while Extinction has its moments, there isn't enough content to justify replaying the same map so many times. With a series like this, it's hard to tell how fans are going to react. How do you judge good change from bad? Ghosts is a testament to how fickle the balance is between pleasing your fan base and incurring their wrath. The game didn't leave much of a lasting impact on the franchise aside from, oh dear God, remember when they tried that? Wasn't that just awful? And that is why Call of Duty Ghosts was so hated and bad.
New dog models.